Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's Monday's Mental Fitness. So, now today's topic is change management and adaptability. Change management and adaptability. So, these are like a major part to greatness for everyone. For everybody that exists in life that works day and night, there's a need for us to always encounter changes in our lives. So, however, we manage this is what will help us scale to becoming a better person or a better entrepreneur. So, on our slide, first thing we have is the opening quote: "There is nothing permanent except change," by Ecalitus. This is one of the Greek philosophers. They are used to always giving words of wisdom and that guides people in terms of how they live their life. So there's nothing permanent except change. Change is permanent in everything we do. For a child that we give birth to today as a parent, the same child you pamper from from his cradle days, is the same child that will pamper you when you are old, because that same person is growing older while you are going to another point of extinction. So on the next slide, we have the definition of change. Change is defined as an act or process through which something becomes different. Just saying the word change can make people uneasy because the unknown is intimidating. And this is a fact. I know a lot of people that were living well in Nigeria. You wake up from your house, you can just go to work without offering anything in your house. But this same person goes abroad. The moment he lands on that point, from everything you do, you start getting detailed, because an environment change can lead you to start getting more conscious of what you do. So imagine taking your child you relocated from here to another place in Lagos, a city like Lagos, changing your child to another school. When you tell your son, okay, I'll be changing your school because we've left the other place, the child will be uneasy at some point, like, oh, wait, what am I doing? Why am I changing this? Same thing, you buy a new car as compared to your old car. There's always been this uneasy part of you that, okay, for you getting to a new place, there's always that part of you that needs to be, that the change will come in, but you have to fight it so you won't get intimidated in the old place. What if change? What if change is not something to fear, but something to value? That is what a lot of us don't know. When they hear anything that has to do with change, okay, you won't be working in this branch, you'll be working in the other branch, you start getting scared. Well, that is the point whereby some people get their promotion or something they can value. If you are an assistant manager at a branch of your office and they want to transfer you to another branch, that might not just be a transfer, it might be a promotion for you. So anytime you hear the word change or something wants to change, be open-minded, be at rest, understand that, okay, this change is for you to face new challenges, get better, and also it will affect your KPI in terms of growth in whatever you do. And also ways to always meet new audience and better people. The next part, causes of change. And we have the economic conditions, which are something like the financial situation of a country or financial currency of a country. These are some things that affect change in terms of how we run our company, how we run our lives. The same thing you are buying at 1,000 naira for last year might not be the same thing today. So all those little changes are things that helps us, that will affect you in one way or the other, in terms of your plan, in terms of how you run your life and how you do things. And also the law. The law of the state, for example, can determine how well your business will be affected, either positively or negatively. Take, for example, in the real estate sector, there are a lot of housing agents that has made price of house skyrocket. And take, for example, the government of the state now said, okay, for anybody that wants to rent a house, you have to go to a real estate company, not an agent anymore. That is a good law. It will help people that will rent their houses get it cheaper and also save them from other unnecessary charges. That is what the positive law can change in terms of positive way for companies. Now, the technological advances. This is a very big part. Technology is something that changed a lot of things that we do today. A lot of people are jobless now because technology and AI has taken away their jobs. So all this change, to some people might be good, to some people might not be anything. Because back then in the 70s and 80s, where people were writing topics or projects, you know how many hours I have to go to the library and take books and books and books. Fast forward to 2025, somebody can just go on his phone, ChatGPT, and everything is done. The same person that was doing doing a research for like in 1980 with like 12 books and still score a C, whereas somebody in 2025 will use ChatGPT and get an A. That is what technology does. It can just disrupt and change the whole system. Now, the expansion part. I remember when I came into this company, we had an office upstairs. The office was so big that we had to sublet a part of the office. So it got to a point, expansion started coming in. That's a change in a positive way. It got to a point, the company had to leave, so we had to expand to that point. It got another year, we got to another space, another year, we got another space. That is the idea of expansion. It's a change that comes to people at when they need or when they might not. So whenever that thing comes, you just ready to, okay, you need to get a bigger space, you need to get or have more virtual workers so the office can be well managed. Now, the types of change. Inflation is a major factor of change that happens in the country. Far back as many years ago, getting some things like vehicle, automobiles are not so expensive now. Inflation is very high to the extent that people don't even source for second cars that much. They just want to do local cars because it's within their budget. So when changes like this come, you are forced to always tell yourself that, okay, this is the best way I can run with my finance instead of going beyond my plan. Now, the step change. Let's say I am the assistant secretary. It gets to a point, the job demand starts getting bigger and bigger. My team lead is not doing well, and my KPI is growing because I come early to job. I do my job right. So when a letter comes for me to make that change, that, oh, will you be able to take the next step to become the real secretary of the company, right? Because the person that you are under is not doing well. All those are changes that come, like you have to decide, okay, I'll be superior over the person that's been superior over me for a while. Imagine someone has been calling boss for a while, start calling me boss. Not everybody can handle that part. For the boss that has been demoted, he might just leave the company because he can't face that person that he trained and start looking up to that person as the boss. Same thing somewhere like in the police or in the military. If you go out and have some misconduct, they can drop your rank to like the second lowest or the third lowest. And such way now, people cannot stand those things. So a lot of them tend to run away from the job or just face the insult and take it. Now, disruptive change, things like technology, things like, I'll put COVID-19 under this. That has been the biggest change in the last century. COVID-19 was a pandemic that came and shaping how everybody lived their life, from how we go to work. Before COVID-19, people were working 5 days a week, 7 days a week. But after COVID, they had to reschedule and think about how they can make the work better, like making things more flexible, making not letting people go out more than normal. So that helps a lot of companies change their direction and change their narrative. Now, change management is another topic. It's a discipline that focuses on managing changes within an organization. That's the first part. It involves implementing approaches to prepare and support individuals, team, and leaders in organizational changes. So I talked about I wanted to do it in a workplace pattern, but it was too complex. So I find a way to always embed individuals, team, and leaders in the topic. Now, whenever there's a change, it's how we manage it that we ensure that we don't go out of line. We've seen companies that with a little change, even in COVID, a lot of businesses didn't survive. Not that they didn't have the structure, not that they didn't have the money, but they were not able to cope through that change. So a lot of them had to spend up their savings during COVID, and when they resumed, they could not do much. They have to sell up and pack up. While some people had to understand that, okay, I have to reduce the way I spend so I can have things to run the business when I resume. So on the part of it involves implementing approaches to prepare, support individuals, leaders, and team. So most leaders, if a leader of a company is not so open to change, the moment there is a change, it might affect him at the top, and the team members might not be able to survive. So if the strength of the leader is always being open to change, the company will not even it's not even be affected that much. It can just shake them for a little and now they get back on their feet. Change management is the process of guiding change from conception to resolution. Conception is the first part that when they announce that there will be a lockdown because of the pandemic, that is the conception of that change. So the resolution is until the company gets better, until we resume. So most companies from the side of conception, they have a problem. You are running a business, you are running a restaurant, and there has been environmental sanitation people come to your office and they say that, okay, you are not managing your waste well, and they shut down your business for 1 week. Some businesses might not survive, some might still survive. Because in the process of shutting down your business, you have perishables that are in your office that might damage. So if you can't manage those things well, you might have to get to the point whereby the change that comes up will have to affect your business. Most companies were shut down for 3 months and they still bounce back. Same thing as businesses, hotels. A lot of them always bounce back because there's always a good plan and they have that strength to absorb any change that comes to them. The synergy between change and management adaptability. Change management is structured. It's the structured approach to transitioning individual teams and an organization from a current state to a desired function. So no matter how the change comes, it depends on the organization to see how well they can manage themselves from that point to where they are right now. We have many businesses in the company. It's the country that has damaged. A lot of them are tilted on the government side. There's the issue of poor management. There's the issue of no good team or the synergy between team members. You find out that the head of department of this side is not a good team with the head of department of this other side. So whenever there's conflict, they can't even sit down with themselves and settle the problem. They'll be ironing out personal issues. That's why most of our establishments in the country are messed up. Now, the focus on the fact that nothing stays the same with new innovations, new technology, with failures, bet new results. Whenever there's a failure, it depends. It's either the result comes positive or negative. If the company or the people cannot sit down and look for new ideas and new ways to fix that problem, there will not be growth on that part. So change management is what determines that the company will come back to life or the company will nosedive according to the crisis that hit them. Definition of adaptability. Adaptability has been described as the ability to cope with unexpected disturbance in a given space. Adaptability is what makes whichever problem your company is facing, it's what makes them get back on board. Because a lot of people can't handle stress, from personal individuals to companies. There's some people that anything that happens to them, take for example, you're driving your car and you have a flat tire or something. Some people don't even, where's the next organizer? They'll be like, I'll call my daddy, I'll call my husband. Those are things. People like that, if they run an organization and they are being hit by a slight change, believe me, that company might nosedive because their strength to accept change or to face situation is not strong enough. So for people that need to always understand that change must come and how well you can manage it and adapt to that for a period of time. Most companies get bankrupt 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and they still come back. Because most times, if you check the stock market, you see some companies who fall out of the market. And give them 1, 2, 3 years, they're back into the market because they were able to manage the change and they adapted even while things were not coming. Because anytime there is an issue like that, you have to always find a way to communicate to your customers and let them know that we are going through some crisis. But this might not be something that will take us out of the market. Give us time and we'll get better. There are some days whereby before now, let's say commission days on Tuesday, and Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. We didn't pay on Tuesday. Okay, maybe we were busy at the office and stuff. We didn't pay on Thursday. By Friday, I'll be getting messages like, Mr. Felix, what's going on? Is the company going bankrupt? So I'll be like, you made a sale. That means money came into the company. The company is not getting bankrupt. We find our way to always do things. So understanding the fact that people will always get scared when there's a problem, when there's a change like that, when there's a delay, because they know that, okay, if it goes too late by 9 p.m. on Tuesday, they get their money. Or they didn't get it on Tuesday, they didn't get it on Thursday. They start coming into DMs. You know, that's not the case of commission. It's not where you can just go out and shout. You just come to DMs. What's happening? Are we going bankrupt? We are not going bankrupt. We are good. We are just trying to fix some things. But financially, we are not affected. But now on the other part, adaptability in the context of leadership refers to the capacity of leaders to remain flexible and responsive to the ever-changing external environment. This part is very, very important. Being flexible and being able to respond to changes. I was talking to someone yesterday. He works in an hospital. He told me about how they lost one of their patients, and the doctor on ground he doesn't have that strength to manage that pressure that was coming. So he ran upstairs because the person works in a factory owned by a particular country in Nigeria. So he was one of their strong men. So when the people heard, they rushed to the hospital to come and burn down the hospital. But because they met someone that, okay, you understand that, okay, he has this strength, he can always transition from this is the problem, how to communicate, and how to be resilient and talk to them why everything worked out. So that was how that person had, because he has the flexibility skill and is responsive also to the problem. That is something that helped him win that situation. So on our next slide, we have how to cultivate adaptability. The first, take a moment to shift your mindset. Transform your fear into curiosity. Transform your fear into curiosity. So once when there's a problem, not everybody can handle problems. That's why some leaders will tell you, if there's an issue, call so person. He's the person that has the ability to whether taking any shock or taking any message before he can now tell the other person. And that's a very good thing because people need to understand their strengths and not be the front man every time for something. But there are some situations you call me, I might not be that proactive to take that step because of my kind of person. So take a moment to shift your mindset. Always understand that there's a problem, but it can be fixed. That's the thing. So whenever they call you for something like that, take your time, relax, and get back to the issue. Now, the second one is practice flexibility in your everyday life. Small intentional acts like trying new habits, stepping out of your comfort zone. This is a special message to a lot of my tech bros. A lot of them stay indoor. They don't understand that the problems they want to solve is outside there. So you see, like a lot of team leads in the tech space, they understand that there's need for me to always go out and hear problems that are happening, that we can see how we can now bring them back into the tech space and find solutions to it. The same, that was how industries like the financial sector was able to grow, because there's some people that understand that sending money from abroad to Nigeria is very hard. So that's why they come up with some apps like Lemfi and all those things that they're using at the moment. So now define yourself. No matter how strong you are, or no matter how well you feel you are, that's good. There's a need for you to always define yourself. I might be able to handle any problem that has to do with humans. I might not be able to handle any problem that has to do with material things like vehicle or all those things. So I know my strengths as a person. So when you call me for a particular problem, okay, I might just refer you, talk to this particular person. He's the one that will be in the best place to handle that. And also develop resilience. You can never talk about adaptability and not talk about resilience. Resilience is the biggest word with adaptability. It is that factor that makes you feel that, okay, no matter how hard it comes, you must still continue. If you try today, it doesn't work out, you try the next day, you keep continuing into that, on that way, before you can now get a solution to whatever you're doing. So develop resilience. You get stronger by the problem. For people that like challenges, their level of resilience is very, very strong. I had a slight meeting with David Sentera on Friday when he came last week. I and Victor were talking. So he was telling Mr. Felix, me, I can't do anything. If I lose now today, I will start again. It tells you that his resilience spirit is very, very strong. No matter how his great plan and his team plan flops, he can go back to his table and draw out a new plan and hit the market again, because he has a very strong resilient side that doesn't give up easily. Action plan on how to be more adaptable. Now, first, start with a clear assessment. Start with why. There's a problem. I should not go out and start blaming my team. This happened. I have to come back with the same team and tell, okay, what is the problem? How did that problem come about? If we start with that, then we can now know, okay, this is the problem. This is what happened, because most times the way they communicate the problem to you might not be how it actually is. Some problem is like very small, like 1/10. Or they will communicate it like 300/10, and you start being scared. So that's the first thing. Listen to that person. That's why whenever there is crisis, you don't start taking side or condemning somebody. Hear what the problem is. You might just be able to settle it up in 2 seconds. So start with a clear assessment on whatever the problem is now, and whatever is bringing the change. Communication. Take, for example, there's an issue. Okay, I will come back to the real estate sector. Over the years, people that paid money for bidding on off-plan, a lot of the companies could not meet up anymore because of the inflation rates. Somebody paid you 50 million for a project, and now they're expecting that project to be like 80 million naira. So what do you do as a team? Start with a clear assessment. What's the problem? The problem is inflation. Our naira depreciated to a point, and we cannot do much with what we have. So now communication openly and honestly. You have to communicate within the team. Tell, this is the problem we are facing now. How do we go about it? So it's either, if there's a concrete agreement, you can now find a way of sending mails to your customers or calling them to let them know that this is the problem we have at hand, or we have a contract that we are going to get it done, we'll get it done. But for this to work out, this is what was going to happen. How about you pay us an extra amount of this for it to get done? Those are one of the things you look out for. If there's an open communication, and honestly and openly communication, the problem can be solved to an extent. Now, involvement. There's a problem in a company. I don't need to just put 2 people or go and solve it. No, it doesn't work like that. The team spirit has to do with every member of the team handling solving this particular problem. If you have 10 departments in the office and the whole 10 departments sit down to address that problem, to solve the problem, I just require 3 departments. So the other people are still very involved, but at least there has to be involvement of everybody to understand that this is a problem that's facing us. For us not to quit or for us not to go out of the market, we have to face it. Everybody has to be involved. Then the training part. Training is very important in solving any problem, because remember, everything started with a change. For it to start with a change, that means it's out of what we do not normally. So we have to train ourselves to, okay, this is the problem at hand. This is how this department has to step up. That one has to step up. So we can now train ourselves to that point to ensure that, okay, we can now solve this problem. Now, number 5, foster resilience. Like I said, under adaptability, resilience will keep coming and coming and coming, because as big as the problem was, hard as are trying to solve it, there will be a point where everybody starts to get tired. But if this team is tired, team B is tired, team C is not tired. So it's the resilience that the team C has that will now foster more energy on the other teams to get back to work. Now, continuous learning. In a space whereby learning is important, we understand that no matter how the problem is, no matter what we face, by the time we keep teaching ourselves on how to get these things done, it will be very, very easy to settle. The reason why it looks so easy is that I'm just giving you English language. If I start giving you real life application, you'll now see that it's not as easy as it looks. A lot of these things take years for it to get to the final stage. Now the next one, we have the closing quote. Do not judge me by my success. Judge me by how many times I fell down and get back up again. This is by Nelson Mandela. Now let's start again. Don't judge me by my success. You see, a lot of people that I used to see some graphics, it'll be like for somebody that won today, it'll be there's like one supporter and 1,000 people celebrating him. Nobody knew how that person that went to school and came out with first class. Nobody knew how he paid his school fees. Nobody knew how he was feeding. Nobody knew how. But the fact that he became the best graduate student becomes a celebration for everybody. So don't judge me by my success, but how many times I fell down and got back up. For a student that is still trying his best, he will see his friends going to party. He would not go. You see his friend wearing the best clothes. He cannot. You will see his people doing the best of the best things, but all those things he had to neglect just for him to get the win. That's why he said, according to Nelson Mandela, because he fought very hard to ensure that his country was liberated. So don't judge me how many times I fell down and got back up again. So that is it. For everybody that's trying to come out of a problem or solve a solution, either a personal solution, a family solution, or a company solution, or even that your small business that you think at least you only have 2 customers, you can just fold up the business. And no, you have to keep trying to ensure that you get to the solution and fix things at that point. Thank you very much for joining me on this training. So if you have any question, comment, or contribution, you can put that in the comment section below. Thank you.